Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys various different images on Adobe Stock, and we're going to be analyzing them. I'm going to be teaching you a few things to look out for when you're creating images, specifically with AI. I want to kind of look into that a little bit more and kind of share with you guys some different ideas. And the reason why I want to share this, like I said, is my goal is to help you guys generate passive income, learn how to generate passive income, and stock photography is one of those opportunities. In our case, we're not actually taking pictures of anything, at least most of us. If you want to take pictures, that's perfectly fine, but we use AI tools to be able to generate these images. Of course, if you guys want to learn how I create things, I'll leave a link in the description. You could check out my Super Stock AI course. It's going to teach you literally everything I know about stock photography. I have over 100 videos in that course, and so if you want to see different videos and different pieces of content around stock photography, check it out. But for now, I want to share with you 4 different I guess you could say images. We'll analyze them, we'll look into them, and I think this is going to create a great teaching lesson overall. And we're going to go, like I said, through different ones. So let's kind of take a look at these images. And in order for me to look at these, I searched for, I believe, what did I search for here? I searched for Villa Backyard, Arizona. So what I did was I created a mixture of keywords. Usually people don't type like that, but what I did is I created a mixture of keywords. So these keywords are going to be found in people's tags most of the time and in their titles. It will be found here, and we can look at different ones here, and these here are all generated by AI, every single one of them. And what I look here and I look for is things that actually look realistic. And this is the first tip, is that if you're creating images with AI, your goal, or at least as close to as possible, if you're creating stock photography and it looks like an actual photo, if that's your intention, to make it look like a photo, well, then it should look like a photo. And I'll explain kind of what I mean. Like when I look at an image like this image looks pretty realistic to me, right? And I'll tell you why in just a minute. But if I look at an image like, let's say, like this does not look realistic to me. And a lot of people get hung up on like where the image is located, right? So like if I'm searching the image and an image is closer to the top, they think one image is better than the other. And that's not always the case. You know, just because I'm searching for an image and then an image is above another in the search, that doesn't mean it's always a better image. There are certain images that have a greater propensity for success in the long term. Don't get too caught up in my success right here, right now. You want to look at yourself in the broad range, like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. And you want to think about where your account should be. A lot of the times people shoot themselves in the foot when they think, I want to make a lot of money here and now. And although making money is tremendous, it's great, I'd be selling you a bridge if I told you that you could make millions overnight. The reality is that in this business, income or millions is generated over time, and you can produce millions. There are accounts, I showcased one that generates over $80,000 a month on Adobe Stock alone. You don't think that account makes over $1 million a year? Of course they do. They probably upload images to other websites as well, and they make tons of money. And there was an AI-generated account as well. So the point here is that the first tip is make images look somewhat realistic. Like when I look at this image, I'll kind of point out why this image very clearly is not realistic, right? So like you look at this tree, there's no detail on the leaves. It almost like this. It almost looks like a fern of some sort. It doesn't look real. The image, I don't even have to describe it. It just doesn't look right. If I look at that previous image, the one that I was showing you earlier, let's go ahead and scroll down to it, this one here. Whether I click on it or whether I don't click on it, it looks very real. You look at the leaves here, this is very realistic, right? Of course, there's some, some errors, but like these extra little leaves on the floor, on the grass, they add extra texture to the image. They make the image look realistic. Now, if you're nitpicking things, if you're looking very, very intently, you'll notice some things. Like if you notice this bar here, like this metal bar, like right here, This doesn't exist in the real world. There is no floating bar in the middle of your backyard just in the air. That would be Harry Potter. This is not existent. However, normal people, when they look at images, they don't look at it this intensely. I've looked at literally tens of thousands of images, so I'll pick up very, very small details. But like, for example, this fern here. Ferns don't usually grow out of nowhere. They grow on the sides or on the ground, coming from the ground. However, it looks realistic. It looks very, very idealistic. It looks very natural, very real. The cushions here, the cushions have a little stains on them, a little wrinkles. That's what makes the character of this image look very realistic, right? Certain details look very realistic. There are issues with this image, but they're hidden. They're hidden in the contents of the image. But like I said, if you look at an image like this, clearly is a lower quality image, and therefore it will have lower quality success over time. Just because an image may seem like it's doing well now doesn't mean it will generate lots of sales. In fact, there's a lot of the times when I'll upload an image and it won't get any downloads for the first 2-3 months. And then literally after 4 or 5 months, it's generating 10, 12, 15 downloads in the first few weeks of that period of time after that waiting period. And then after that, it could generate another 20, 30, 40 downloads throughout the next few months. So what I'm trying to say is that, every kind of image has its own trajectory towards success. And just because you're creating images doesn't mean you should upload all of them necessarily, right? There are some images where I'll pick and choose and I'll say, okay, you know what, let's not add this image in my portfolio. I've talked about this in the course, but of course, the more images you upload, the better. But you have to also look at the way that you're uploading images. If you're taking time to upload each image, like for me, it doesn't take almost any time at all. From creation to uploading, it's very simple, very quick, very easy, very fast. Very, very little time. So I'm creating literally thousands of images in a period of a few hours, as opposed to, and we're talking about upscaling, tagging, all that kind of stuff. There's other people who will sit there, create 50 images, will take them all day, sometimes even more than all day. So with that being said, is like you have to think about how your uploading style affects what images you're choosing. If you're picking bad images and your uploading style is monotonous, it's slow, that's a problem. You're going to have to fix one of those things. And only you can assess those problems. Only you can understand what issues you have in your business, because you do have to fix them if you want to grow, in a strong kind of growth over time. You want to grow, you want to have growth, you want to have success, you're going to have to analyze. So this is the first tip. My first tip is if it's a photography-based image, make it look real. Like this image is clearly, it is made by AI, not clearly, but it looks real. It's very detailed, it looks natural. It doesn't look like an AI made this, right? If somebody showed me a photograph of this image on the street, I wouldn't imagine that it was made by AI. I would really think it's a real-life photo, but it's not. Okay, so that's an example. All right, let's go ahead and head over to the next example. So let's talk about images. And I searched here pineapple. The reason why this is a good image, although it is simple, it is very useful, and I'll tell you why. In this image, you really have two elements. You're basically getting two images for the cost of one. And what you want to do is you want to put yourself in the psyche, in the shoes of the seller. Now, I know you can't do everything at once, right? This is, for some people, it might be their first time being exposed to stock photography, listening to my videos. AI stock photography, that is. Sometimes you can't put, the whole big checklist and try to accomplish everything at once. You'll learn this over time. But in this image, right, this is not a real-life photo, but this is almost like a logo type image, okay? People might use this as, for their business, for logos. They might use this in some sort of greeting card. They might use this on a t-shirt design. They could use an image like this in a restaurant. They could use this in so many different circumstances. When you add components to an image that allow people to see that image in various regards, it helps the image succeed tenfold. And I'll explain. You look at an image like this, right? This follows the same process. What you're seeing is multiple images in that same image. This is another example here. This is one image, but yet it has multiple. If somebody downloads this, they can crop the image and take a portion of it. They can crop this part and take a portion. They could do the same thing here, right? What you're doing is you're giving the viewer an opportunity to see your image in different lights, in different perspectives. Now, from a logo perspective, some people would just think, okay, well, my logo is just, a regular logo. Why don't you take literally the same thing in your prompts and ask it to split the image? Now, this image is not created by AI, at least I don't think so, but there are other AI-generated images that have that same function, where it will have different colors, different aspects, different elements to it, right? And you can request that, right? Whether it be through prompting and prompt crafting and prompt engineering, you can request certain things to be changed, right? So, for example, if I was creating an image like this, I might ask AI to create 4 different variations and then create a collage out of them, which, by the way, we've spoken of that and showed that in our course, right? But that's an example, and then I can upload that. Now, depending on the style of image, I might upload it as a vector file, I might upload it as an AI file, right? I might upload it as an image type file or a JPEG, right? PNG, JPEG, vector, different things. So there's different opportunities. Like, this is a perfect example. This is an AI created image, right? And you see it has all these different elements. There are people who might look at this and say, oh, I like this image, but I have many different resources. I'll go ahead and download it. Now, once again, you want to put yourself in the shoes of that downloader. That downloader is paying a fee to download many images. And so they're going to look at the best opportunities they can get, and they're going to click that download button. They're not necessarily paying directly for your image. They're essentially paying a membership to get as many images as they can. You want your images to appear and to stand out, all right? The next type of image is this black flower background. The reason why I want to kind of point this out is because images like this, and this is another tip, is that they're very forgiving, okay? The reality is there's no image like this that actually is real life. There's no flower with this many petals on it that exists in human history. However, the reason why images like this can be downloaded is, once again, because they're very forgiving. And I'll explain what I mean when I say very forgiving, because that might be an odd statement to some people. An image that doesn't have rules or bounds on how it's created is a forgiving image. Let me explain. If I was to ask you to draw a refrigerator, right? We all know what refrigerators look like. It's this big rectangle that's got maybe 1 or 2 compartments to it. It opens up, it's got door handles on the door, etc. But if I showed you a picture of a basketball and I called it a refrigerator, you'd look at me like I'm crazy, right? Well, you can tell that these are flowers, although they don't naturally occur in history. If I took a picture of clouds in the sky, whether they occurred in history or not, they can be good looking, right? Because it is very, once again, forgiving, meaning there is no structure of requirement for that image. Flowers are a perfect example of that, right? If I take a picture of wood grain, for example, let's actually search this. Let's type in wood grain, okay? It will show you like wood, right? Pictures of wood. These images could be made by AI, but there's no requirement as to how they have to look. It's not like the rings have to follow a certain order or a certain pathway. Why? Because it's a forgiving type of image. The more of these images that you can create that are relatively forgiving, meaning there's no requirement as to how they naturally have to look, the more you can be successful over time, because you're accepting more images into your portfolio. One of the things we talk about in the Superstock course is that we say we want to create images where we don't have to necessarily always revise and edit and fix. Why? Because speed and efficiency is of the essence. I don't want to have to sit there and, like I said, edit different images all the time. I want to be able to create, upscale, post, right? Create, upscale, post, create, upscale, post. I want to create a system that's very quick for me. I don't want to have to slow myself down. And so when I'm doing that, the only way I'll be able to be successful is to accept images. The only way I'll accept them is if they have this forgiving nature about them. There could be a chance where in history, a piece of wood has never looked like this necessarily, but it's forgiving because I can, and there probably has, but I can take things that aren't forgiving, right? In terms of colors and structures and the way that it's looking. So once again, images that don't have certain bounds to them as to how they're required to look, it's perfectly fine. Like, for example, if I search for let's just say a human, well, everybody knows what a human looks like, okay? And 2 eyes, 1 mouth, a nose, eyebrows, etc. Everybody knows what they look like, right? It's not like I could put the mouth on the forehead and then the eyes down here on the mouth and then the nose on the ear section. I can't do that. That follows a certain order, right? Even human faces is quite forgiving in a way because you can create any kind of race, any kind of nationality, anybody with a certain eye color, whatever, and that can kind of work. So if images are very particular is what you want to kind of step away from. That's kind of what I'm trying to say here. And so these black flowers that we pulled out the image of, it's a very forgiving image, right? There's no requirement as to how it has to look. It's a wallpaper, a background of some sort. People can download it for various different uses. Maybe it doesn't have a high demand, but it still can be used, variously, even if this doesn't look real in reality, okay? The next thing is I kind of want to give a tip, and this is not a type of image that I would actually recommend. And I left this kind of one of the best tips for last, is I'm kind of harping over this real-life image style again, is that an image like this, and I don't know if my screen recorder is picking it up, but an image like this does not look realistic at all. In fact, this makes people look like clay. I used in the course this example of a wax museum. If you've ever been to a wax museum, or even just Google it, basically what they have is they have these people that in the wax museum that look like real humans, but they're actually made of wax. And they're colored very intricately. They have wrinkles. They have, the right sizing, the right, all that kind of stuff. However, these images are not ideal. And these actually images, they'll die over time. And they really can't compete amongst an image that looks real. At the end of the day, if I had an image like this versus a real-life looking image like this, which one would I pick? I'd pick the real-life looking one. If you look at the details of this image, like the foreheads, the faces, it just doesn't look real. It looks like clay-type human beings, almost like fake dolls in a way. Probably the human here that looks the realest is probably this individual right here. But like you could see how fake the forehead looks, how fake the teeth look. There's nothing wrong with people who have, fake photos. The problem is that you're cutting your download short. This could have been a perfect idea. This could have been a perfect tagging structure, perfect everything. Everything could have been perfect about this image, but most of the time, because people are using either low quality technology, right? So different AI softwares that are just simply low quality and they're trying to save money on that, or they're using prompts that are a little bit weak and they haven't given some time to that, and they're not being specific to the AI how they want the image created. That can cause different issues. So if you ever have like images of humans or animals or whatever, if it looks somewhat fake, it looks like it's made of clay or something like that, I would rather put that image away and make sure I structure to the AI or tell the AI, hey, I want it to look XYZ a certain way so that it can produce the best result. In fact, if I search for like a portrait, there's no actually category that is as good as portraits to kind of reflect this, right? So if without even clicking, right, there are some images that look real and some that look fake. Like this picture right here, this person, this looks real, okay? When I click on, let's see if I could find here something that looks fake. Probably the fastest way that I could do this is by filtering, and I will filter for AI images only. Let's go over here to generative AI only, and we will see a difference between real and fake ones. This looks real. This image looks real. This image looks real. This image is like halfway through, like close to fake. Let's see here. This image looks a little real. Let's see here. Let's keep going. This image looks fake. See, this image looks fake. It's just, there's not enough, I don't want to say detail, but it just doesn't capture the details properly. right? And I could tell, or the users could tell, not even just me, but users can tell when they're looking to download an image, like this image. This looks fake, right? People's chests don't look like this, at least not all the time. The skin tone, although it captures the color in a very good way, it doesn't have the detail of the skin, right? It just looks like the image is made of clay. And you can very clearly tell when you put it against a different type of image, right? Like this image of this young lady here. This looks like a real image, right? This image looks like a real image. This image looks like a real image of a little girl, right? But there were images that you just saw that don't look real. This image does not look real, right? So there are certain images, like when you're dealing with humans, when you're dealing with animals, if somebody is specifically looking for a photograph style, you got to provide that to them in that certain way. Like this image is a phenomenal image because of the detail associated with that. It looks like a cinematic shot type of image. And it looks real. It looks very realistic. In fact, it looks cinematic almost. Like you could see the little fine details, the little dust on her sweater that she's wearing here, but yet it's not real. It's made by AI. So one of the things is like that will happen typically if you're using lower quality AI. Now, depending on the prompt, you can get away with some things, but keep that in mind. All right. So these are just some quick 4 tips that can help you level up your success over time with stock photography. And of course, we used Adobe Stock as the example, but this applies for really all sites, because anybody who's purchasing a subscription to any kind of stock photography site, they want to get the most out of their value, and they're going to be downloading from what's available. And what's available includes you and the competition. And you want to give yourself the biggest hand up on the competition, all right? So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll leave a link to the Superstock AI course. And of course, I'll see you soon, all right? Peace out, bye.